Winnie the Pooh, everyone's tale. Eeyore sighed, watched Rabbit hop around his garden. Rabbit was chasing bugs, but Eeyore thought he was dancing. Wish I could dance, said Eeyore. Eeyore tried to copy Rabbit's dance step, but he stepped on his tail and fell. Not again, Eeyore said, annoyed. That tail of his was forever coming off, and he was pretty tired of it. He rose and walked away, leaving his tail in the mud. Rabbit charged into his carrot patch. All right, you pests, he said, grabbing his bug sprayer. You asked for it. He sprayed until there was a billowing cloud covering his garden. When it cleared, the garden seemed to be deserted. Suddenly, the bugs appeared behind him with a big board. Thwack! The bugs knocked Rabbit over the fence. He landed in the mud next to Eeyore's tail. Ick, said Rabbit, wiping the mud off his face. When he sat up, he saw an army of bugs marching towards him, aiming the bug spray in his direction. Oh dearie dear! Rabbit frantically searched for something he could use to defend himself. When he spotted Eeyore's tail, he snatched it up. Don't come any closer, warned Rabbit, swinging the tail. I've got, this? To Rabbit's surprise, the bugs came to a complete halt. The leader's eye nearly poked out and his heart beat wildly. He howled and whistled and started trembling all over. Then, before Rabbit could blink, the leader of the bugs ran up to Eeyore's tail and hugged it to its tiny body. Obviously, it was love at first sight. But what could a bug see in Eeyore's tail? Said Rabbit thoughtfully. That gives me an idea. And he took the tail off to his house. But now, Eeyore was beginning to miss his tail. For one thing, he was a lot colder back there. Suddenly, Tigger bounced up and knocked Eeyore flat. Hoo-hoo-hoo! Hiya, donkey boy, said. I almost didn't recollect you without your tail. We parted company at Rabbit's, explained Eeyore. I'm much happier without it. Can't you tell? Tigger studied Eeyore's face, which looked as gloomy as ever. How'll you be able to tell your front from your back without a tail? Asked Tigger. And since you're always saying you're such a nobody, won't you be even less of a somebody with part of you missing? The corners of Eeyore's mouth dropped a little lower. You are right, but how can I get that little guy back? Hoo-hoo! Have no fear, Private Ear. Tigger is here, and reuniting loved ones is what a private ears do best. Back at Rabbit's house, Eeyore's tail had taken on a new look. Using bits of paper and some glue, Rabbit turned Eeyore's tail into a lady caterpillar. Now that's what I call a worm wrangler, said Rabbit, sticking Eeyore's tail on the end of fishing pole. Then Rabbit dangled the tail in front of the bugs and led them to a stream. Goodbye, have a wonderful trip, called Rabbit, waving at them as they sailed downstream in a shoebox. Later, Winnie the Pooh knocked on Rabbit's door. Hello, Pooh, said Rabbit. How are you doing? How are you this great day? Pooh saw the tail dangling from Rabbit's fishing rod. What's that? asked Pooh. This? Oh, nothing, said Rabbit as he quickly hid the fishing rod behind the back. Rabbit didn't realize that Eeyore's tail had dropped off. Now, excuse me, Pooh, said Rabbit. He slipped into the house and slammed the door. Pooh picked Eeyore's tail up off the ground. If the thing means nothing to Rabbit, said Pooh, I think I'll find a use for it. Meanwhile, Tigger was still trying to help Eeyore find his tail. He was certain that someone had stolen it, but who? Rabbit lived close by, so Tigger decided to question him first. Moments later, Rabbit threw up open on the floor, and in bounced Tigger. "Gotcha!" said Tigger, knocking Rabbit flat. "What? Where were you the night of the 43rd?" demanded Private Ear Tigger. "When was the next to the last time you saw Eeyore's tail?" "Eeyore's tail?" repeated Rabbit. "What do you mean?" As Tigger was explaining, Rabbit noticed that his warm wrangler was missing. It was another case for the Private Ear. "But what about my tail?" asked Eeyore. "Not now, Eeyore," said Rabbit and Tigger. "Who was the last no-good Nick you saw?" asked Tigger. "Why, it was Pooh Bear," said Rabbit. "But he is a case of very little brain gone bad," declared Tigger. Eeyore sighed. "Wasn't anyone going to find his tail?" Winnie the Pooh was sitting on a branch by a beehive, about to fill his honey pot. "My tummy tells me this is a bee tickler," said Pooh, looking at Eeyore's tail, and he stuck the tail into the hive and wiggled it around. Several bees fell out laughing. "I was right," said Pooh, reaching inside. He crammed some honey into his mouth. The bees glared at him. "Uh-oh," said Pooh, gulping. "Tickle, tickle." The angry bees swooped down on Pooh and tumbled him and his honey pot off the limb. Eeyore's tail landed on a thorny bush. "Oh, brother," said Pooh as he fell. When he hit the ground, the honey pot got jammed on his head. "Is it time for a midnight smackerel already?" asked Pooh. He couldn't see a thing. Then he tripped and tumbled down the hill. Pooh barreled into Tigger, Rabbit, and Eeyore. When they rolled to a stop, Rabbit yanked Pooh's honey pot off his head. "Trying to disguise yourself, Buddy Bear?" said Tigger. "Where's my warm wrangler?" demanded Rabbit. "What about my tail?" asked Eeyore. "Not now, Eeyore," said Rabbit and Tigger, but Pooh knew nothing about a tail or a warm wrangler. "I'm missing my bee tickler," said Pooh. "Perhaps Mr. Private Ear can help me find it." "I love this job," said Tigger, bouncing. "Forward me," said Tigger. He peered under every rock and around every tree into 100-acre wood, but he walked right past the bush where Eeyore's tail was hanging. Piglet saw his friends hurry by and wondered where everyone was going. "Oh my," thought Piglet. "Perhaps they're going for something scary." Piglet suddenly spotted Eeyore's tail. "Oh, there! That certainly looked like a very small part of a very large animal," said Piglet. Since Piglet was a very small animal himself, he trembled fearfully and backed away. He backed into a branch behind him. Startled, he jumped up into the air and landed right by Eeyore's tail. When Piglet saw that nothing was attached to the tail, he was relieved. He picked it up. "You might come in handy for protecting me from spookables," he said. When he reached home, Piglet made himself a bully bamboozler, a small heffalump made from a balloon with Eeyore's tail for a trunk. Meanwhile, not far away, Tigger was thinking hard. "Who would want Eeyore's tail? It has to be pitiful little termite," said Tigger. "Piglet's little and pitiful," suggested Eeyore. "Piglet, that's it," said Tigger. He drew a wanted poster that was supposed to look like Piglet's supposed to look like a piglet, although it didn't. Then he bounced off to Piglet's house. Look, said Pooh, pointing straight at Piglet's boozler. It looked like a fellow Tigger's poster. Grab him, yelled Tigger, bouncing on the balloon. There was a loud pop, and Eeyore's tail went flying. Owl flew by, and that very moment, my word, said Owl, swooping down to grab Eeyore's tail. This looked like my Uncle Torbet's bell rope, and off Owl flew into his new prize. Tigger looked up, and Owl flew by with Eeyore's tail. It's time we get that top of the mess, said Tigger, but all Eeyore cared about was his tail. Tigger bounced up to Owl's house and pulled the bell rope right off the door. Then don't make them like they used to, said Tigger. When Owl came to the door, Tigger bounced in and threw the bell rope down on a chair, accusing Owl of taking it. Eeyore backed into the chair and sat down sharply on the bell rope. When it stuck him, he jumped into the center of the room. His friends stared. My worm wrangler, my bee tickler, my bully bamboozler, Uncle Tort's bell rope. Tigger yanked off Eeyore's tail and held it up as evidence. I know no one cares except me, said Eeyore sadly, but that's my tail. Wait, Eeyore, that's it, said Tigger. Your tail plotted its own disappearance so you would learn to appreciate it. I knew it all along. Tigger pinned the tail back onto the smiling Eeyore. Well, from now on, said Eeyore, my tail and I are going to stick together, no matter what.